Good morning. Hello everybody. Happy Wednesday. I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late. It is 11:33, but the reason I'm late today is because I forgot to put my watch on this morning. You know, we have routines every morning. We get up, we do certain things in the same order. Well, this morning my dog wasn't well. I thought my dog wasn't well, so I got up and took him out first thing before I did anything else, and it just mucked up my whole morning because my routine was out, and putting on my watch is my first thing. So I forgot my watch, and that's why I'm late. So I'm sorry I kept you waiting for 3 minutes. I apologize. Good morning, everyone. Hello. I've missed a few people there. I'm sorry I've missed you, but good morning, everyone. The weather in Sydney, you cannot judge by what I'm wearing because I have had all our blinds and shutters down since yesterday, and the heating on full blast, and now it's toasty. Finally, it's taken about 24 hours to get warm in here. Good morning everybody. Good morning Dorothy, good morning Esther, good morning KMLVH. So hi Karen, nice to see you. Hi Esther, my sister's here. My sister's always here. We actually sent a message to my brother this morning to say, which he hasn't answered, come online, we need you. Good morning Dorrit, good morning everybody. Hi Nick, my friend Nikki. My Friday walking friend is here. Good to see you, Nick. Nick had a problem with this curry, so we'll talk about that later. Hi, Lisa in Melbourne. Oh, everyone's here. Good morning, Melanie in Perth. Hey, Deb. Good to see you. Hello. This is my favorite time. Hello, Mish from New York, and Helene. Hello. Good morning, Maureen. I know pretty much everyone's name now, and that's not their Instagram name. I know their real name. Hey Karen, good morning. Nice to see you here. Hi everybody. This is where we all just take a breath. And I didn't watch the news conference this morning. Don't know if anyone else did. We're going to pretend that the outside world does not exist for the next little while. Good morning, Kez. Good morning, Robin and Jen. Hi everybody. Hi Marnie, good to have you here. We're going to forget the outside world and we're going to cook together. We're going to just immerse ourselves in the smells and sounds. Yes, sounds of making a curry. Good morning, Pam. Good to see you here. We have really built up a pretty cool family here, and I love it. I'm sorry there's a reflection. You see there's a reflection in my glasses because I'm using a light today because all my blinds are closed, so it's really dark in here. So I bought this special light for filming at night, so the light is on. So sorry, can't really read without my glasses. This is what I'm trying. Oh, hey Sue, hope your husband's all right. Wishing you all the best for that. Robin says it's cold and wet in Sydney, in Melbourne today, sorry. And in Sydney it is cold and windy, but yesterday was bloody freezing. I mean, really, I don't remember as cold a day in Sydney for a long time. Oh, hey Vonnie, I'm glad you made it online. Hey Charmaine, I'm sorry you've got to leave early. Is that a hint for me to start cooking perhaps? Is that what you're saying to me? All right, let's start cooking. We're not going to cook yet. We're going to talk a little bit about this curry because I'm not a curry maker, okay? It's not in my soul. It's not in my heritage. You know, give me an onion to fry for chopped liver or egg and onion. That's like in my soul, right? But over the years from collecting all these recipes, we've learnt some wonderful curry recipes. And the thing is, it's interesting how these recipes came about because these aren't recipes that were passed down from generations. These are recipes, these are people that came from, whether it was India or Burma or wherever they've come from with all these exotic foods, come to Australia without their family, no recipes, but they want to recreate the taste of their childhood and of their family. And so they try other people's food and they experiment, and then over the years they develop these recipes that are recreated in Australia but reflect their the food of their childhood. This recipe is in our very first book, which I come back to all the time. It's called that's Monday Morning Cooking Club, The Food, The Stories, The Sisterhood. We don't sell it anymore on the website. We're out of stock, but you can still get it. I come back to it and I say this again and again. It's my favorite. I love them all. I'm not going to say it's my favorite, but it has a very special place in my heart because it's the recipes from our community in Sydney, from our families, literally our families and our extended friends and families. So I'm not an expert on curry. I want you to tell you, and I know I'm going to get lots of questions and I'll do my best to answer, but this is a shortcut curry using a paste in a bottle, which I love. So this comes from Elais. And can I just read you, just give me 1 minute to read this to you. She says, I remember with great nostalgia my childhood in India and the intoxicating smell of spices filling the night air. Mummy cooked the food of her country so well, curry, dal, and many other such dishes. When she moved to London, she introduced these dishes to the many English Jews in her neighbourhood who, along with her own 8 children, loved her food. My mother used to say that she cooked with love, which is why I think her food tasted so good. I followed her ways and started to cook for my 4 daughters with just as much love. I do try to cook as many of her dishes as possible to help keep her memory alive. This way she will always be with us. So she talks about this recipe and says that, you know, Indian curry uses so many spices, but she never had the exact recipe when she came to Australia. So she recreated it using all these different things. Now, the thing about spice pastes that we'll talk about is that you can make your own, okay? There's recipes to make your own vindaloo or korma or butter chicken, whatever it is. It's just usually, you know, start with oil, you add the garlic, the ginger, whatever it is, the galangal, the turmeric, whatever, the dry spices, and then you make a paste, and that is what this is. But this is a big shortcut because it's bought. But for Haviva, who gave us this recipe, it wasn't enough. She's added more spices. So if you can't get this vindaloo paste at the moment, you can just substitute it, and I think it will be fine. I don't see why not. You're just going to get a different flavour range across the curry. But the method that we're going to do today applies to any spices that you want to use. It's basically, you follow this recipe and this order of doing things, you can replace anything with anything, okay? You can replace the spices with different spices. You can replace the chicken with beef, with lamb, with Robin's doing tofu today, with fish, but you've got to do it at the end. Fish is a different thing. So this is the one that she recommended, which is Patak's Vindaloo paste. Sorry, it's backwards. And I always keep a couple jars. It's from the supermarket, but apparently this week the eastern suburbs in Sydney has sold out of Vindaloo paste. Okay, Simon Johnson also has a range, which I'm using this one tomorrow. This is a butter chicken paste. They've also got beautiful curry pastes already made. Lots of people do. So let's go through the ingredients that we're going to need today. We're going to start, so if you want to make the big quantity that I posted, it's going to feed 8. It freezes really well, so why not make a big quantity and put it in containers in the freezer? Don't forget to label it. And if not, you can halve it, you can quarter it, you can do whatever you want, as long as you make sure that onions are cooked properly, the chicken's cooked properly, etc., etc. This paste is not usually hard to find, so I don't know if it is why it is now. If you can't find any paste at all, then I would just add another couple of teaspoons of curry powder, because curry powder is also a mix of spices, okay, that someone's chosen, and you know, we're just trying to add spice to this thing, all right? So let's go and start with the ingredients. Okay, so we need some oil, just using a plain flavoured oil. I'm using grapeseed oil that I use for most things. That's not, when I don't need olive oil. I've got chopped onion, so however many onions you're doing, depending on whether you're halving or not. I've got onion and I've chopped it. It says finely, but you know what, who can be bothered? Just pretty roughly, it doesn't matter. It's going to go into the sauce, and I don't mind a bit of texture from the onion. We're going to need some garlic. If you're a garlic lover, then you want to have your full 2 cloves, and you're going to crush them into the sauce. I'm not a huge garlic fan, so I'm just going to pop 1 clove into the sauce and take it out. Someone asked the page number of the recipe. Okay, this book is an interesting one. It is on page 56, because the recipes are not in chapters, they're by the name of the cook, which doesn't help anyone if you don't know the name of the cook, right? But this is Haviva Elais family curry. Okay, so you can put as many, 2 or 3 onions. Well, in the recipe I gave you on Instagram, I said 2 onions, put 3 if you want. It just doesn't matter. 2 large onions would be right for that amount, okay? I'm doing half the quantity, so I'm just doing 1.5 onions, okay? So to not confuse you, I'm going to talk in the full quantity. Serving 8, 2 kilos of chicken thighs, okay? So we'll go together from that. I have got 3 onions chopped, okay, or 2 large. I have got olive oil. I have got some garlic. I've got some ginger. I've got a knob of ginger, and we'll grate it together. I need about a good solid teaspoon. I love ginger. Put in a bit more. It's absolutely wonderful. And I'm going to just grate it into the thing when we do it. Spices. I need 1 tablespoon of vindaloo paste. I need a teaspoon of ground cumin, a teaspoon of ground coriander, and that's not fresh coriander, that's ground coriander seed, and 3 teaspoons of curry powder. And I'm just using Clive of India's curry powder. I like the flavour. There's also a Keen's. There's many brands make their own curry powders. So choose whichever your favourite is. And they are the spices that we're going to need, okay? I'll say it again. 3 teaspoons of curry powder, 1 teaspoon of ground cumin, 1 teaspoon of ground coriander, and a tablespoon of this paste, okay? Or whatever paste you're using. If you don't have the paste, I would add in, you know what, I think we should try with 2 teaspoons extra of curry powder and see how we go. I think that should do it. It's hard to tell. Okay, then we're going to need a can of tomatoes or 2 tomatoes. Not sure which of you have got tomatoes and which of you have got canned tomatoes. The thing with using fresh tomatoes for this recipe is that you need to take the skin off. And the way to do that is to put your tomatoes in a jug, cover it with boiling water, put it in the microwave, cook it for 1 to 2 minutes, take it out, and the tomatoes will peel. If you don't want to use the microwave, take your tomatoes, put a cross at each end with a knife, put it in a bowl, cover with boiling water from the kettle, let it sit for 5 minutes, and then peel off the skin, okay? Or you can leave the skin in. The problem is you just get those bitsy skin bits. So I'd rather take a shortcut. You know, that's just the mood I'm in today. I'm going to use peeled tomatoes. We're going to need some water. We'll talk about how much later. It depends on lots of things. And of course, our chicken, 2 kilos of chicken thigh fillets. Now, I was going to leave one to show you how I cut it, but of course I was standing here cutting it before and forgot to stop. So I cut them all up. So I've cut them into pieces quite big. So if you've got a small chicken thigh, cut it into 6. If you've got giant ones like mine are, and it's beautiful chicken actually from field to fork, butcher up the road, I cut mine into 6. Okay, so each fillet into 3 along the seams, I'm going to call it, you know, the bits, and then across. So each one's into 4 or 6 depending on the size. I don't want little tiny pieces. I want substantial pieces of chicken, okay? And some are like that, okay? So that's my chicken. And take it out of the fridge if you can, half an hour before you cook it. It's always better not to put freezing chicken into a hot pan. Room temperature is better. And potatoes. You can make this without the potatoes. You'll need to hold back some of the liquid if you do. But I think the potatoes add that something special to it. They really soak up all the juice and all the flavours. And if you cook it for a bit longer and then when you reheat it, which is great for a curry, it really adds something. So I would add the potatoes in. Some of you people who are anti-carbs, and I know that you're out there, may say, why do we want to have a curry with potato and have it with rice? And I say to you, because we do. Because it's bloody delicious, all right? It's really good. And when you eat it, you go, okay, now I understand. Now this has stopped again. Oh, no, it hasn't. That has stopped. You have stopped. Nothing stopped. All right. So let's put the onions on. Hot pan. Pan on heat. Pan on high heat, I should say. And I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of olive oil into my pan. Now, let's just talk about pans for a sec. I'm using a non-stick. You know, I use non-stick for lots. This is a Anilon wide. It's about 28 centimetres probably. And you want a big wide pan for this, okay? Because you want everything to cook with heat. And when you want to simmer it later, we can put the lid on a bit. So I prefer a bigger, wider pan. And for 2 kilos, you really need quite a good sized pan, maybe a 30 centimetre pan or something like that. So we're putting in our olive oil. And I'm going to heat my olive oil first. A couple of tablespoons in there. Linda, I'm so happy you're cooking with me. But it's late where you are, isn't it? It's night, like it's like 11 p.m. or something. Is that right? Okay, so we're heating the oil first. And I want to put the onions in and I want them to sizzle, okay? And we're just going to cook the onions on their own for 5 to 10 minutes till they start to cook, okay? Then we're going to continue with the spices. But we'll talk about the ginger and the potatoes while that's cooking. I hope you can see this all right. Onions, ready? All right. So, oh, hey, Joe, good to see you here. Joe's you're not cooking, but you're learning along. Excellent. Well, that's good too, because then you'll be inspired, hopefully, to go and make this curry. I don't use olive oil in Indian or in curry cooking. I guess you could, but I just use a plain flavoured oil, like grapeseed. Okay? Okay, Melanie, can you use the chicken thighs without cutting them up? Absolutely. Of course you can. You could even use chicken pieces on the bone. The thing is, it's just going to take longer to cook, so you're going to add your potatoes at a different time. I'll talk about that when the onions are on, but you can use them whole. I quite like having a curry in some sort of pieces rather than a whole fillet, but it's a completely personal thing, okay? All right, I feel this is hot. I feel the heat. I see my olive oil sort of shimmering a bit, and I'm going to put my onions in. And I'll know they're ready, the oil's ready, because I'll hear that sizzle. Okay, great. Sizzle. I've got lots of onion today. All right. You know, I forgot to make my tea this morning, and which is why I don't have it. So I'm going to actually let you see the real me, which is just, I refill a bottle all day, and I try to drink, you know, just out of the bottle. So do you mind? Sorry. I think it's having the heating on that's actually made me thirsty. Okay, so yes, ghee is also another thing that is often used in Indian cooking, which is, of course, clarified butter. Okay, did I cut the fat from the thighs? No, not really, but they weren't very fat. They had no skin, and I left everything on. If there were like hanging bits of fat, I would definitely cut them off, okay? But there's nothing wrong with a bit of chicken fat in this, you know. Yeah, so if you're doing beef, I would do a stewing beef. You could do a shin of beef cut into pieces would work really well. Something that needs slow cooking, okay? So I'm just tossing this in the oil. It's still on high heat. I haven't turned it down yet because I really want to get them going, okay? Okay, the question is, when you mortar and pestle coriander seeds, do you crush the pods all the way down or remove? You know what? I don't know the answer to that. I would probably crush them in a spice grinder rather than mortar and pestle, and that crushes everything. So I can't answer that. I'm so sorry. Does anyone know the answer to that? I assume you remove the pods that you can't crush. Get a coarse sieve out and put it through that. Okay. Okay, so Alana, you're making chicken soup while you watch this. That's good. Aren't you confused, though, about, you know, what you're adding? That requires a great conversation. Okay. Linda said if you take the chicken fat off, you make schmaltz, which is actually what I did last night. It's now a bit of a mess. I cooked some chicken thighs with skin on, and I got lots of fat, so I put it all in there. And I'm going to cook it down today and then strain it and take the fat and put it in the fridge and label it schmaltz for another day. Veal goulash would work perfectly. Okay, so you've got to think about how long you want to cook whatever meat you're using, okay? Chicken and potatoes take about the same amount of time to cook, so it works out very well. If you're going to cook a veal goulash, probably takes about an hour to cook. If you're going to cook some sort of meat, chuck steak or veal shin, it might take 2 to 3 hours. 2 usually covers it if they're cut up, actually. So you want to add your potatoes half an hour before the meat is going to be ready. So you've got to have an idea of how long it's going to take, okay? All right, so now I'm going to turn it down a bit because my onions are starting to brown on the edges. And I'm not looking to fry them like I would for egg and onion this. I want them to be soft, but they can still have a bit of a crunch because they will continue to cook with all the rest of the ingredients. Okay, we're going to cook the spices with the onion, we're going to cook the garlic and ginger, and they're going to continue to cook. We're going to brown the meat, they're going to continue to cook. Okay, let's talk about the ginger next. We'll get it ready. I've got my dry spices ready, which is my curry powder, my cumin, and my coriander, and I've got them here. You know, good question, Nikki. That is not Winston banging on the door. Our doors bang in the wind on their own, so no, it's not. And I would have let him in if it was. Winston, my big dog that some of you have seen, loves Nikki more than anybody else in the world. Seriously, it's a funny thing. Okay, turn your onions down to low. They're just going to cook nicely. You could actually put the lid on. I'm going to do that. Put your lid on for a few minutes, and we'll just let them get soft while we do the rest. Now, this is about a knob of ginger in this recipe, and a knob of ginger, I think, is about one of those things that you just break off. But what I find easier is to trim. I'm going to trim the end of the ginger. Probably better on a board, and you can either use a peeler or a knife to take the skin off. Oh, I love the smell of it. I really love the smell of it. So peel it like that, and this way it gives you something to hold on to when you grate it. Otherwise it's sometimes a bit tricky. Okay, so this is just, if you've got the whole piece of ginger, you can do it. If you don't, obviously you can't. Okay, can you use bottled ginger and garlic? Of course you can. Definitely. Ginger, definitely. I think the ginger in a bottle is actually not bad. The garlic, I'm not sure. It's something that you have to decide if you like that flavour. I don't like the bottled garlic, but I'm not a garlic fan. I leave my ginger out all the time, and we use it a lot, and it does shrivel up, but, you know, then it goes, when my Monday morning cooking club gals come over, they all drink hot water with ginger, so, you know, we cut up the shriveled bits and they have it. So I'm going to use a ginger grater, which is this thing, or you could use a microplane. I've lost one of my little legs, but you could do it straight into that, but I'm actually just going to do it now. So see how you've got this for traction? It's actually really good to hold on to. I think it's a nice idea. It like makes your own handle. Yes, I also leave mine in the fruit bowl. Actually, I leave it in my onion bowl. I've got an onion, garlic, onion, garlic, banana bowl, believe it or not, and tomato. And then I've got a lemon bowl. And Jake came down to the kitchen this morning, and there's a potato in the lemon bowl. And he had this whole conversation of, what the hell was the potato doing in the lemon bowl? And I don't know why I put it there, but I did. All right, so this is... yum. So we need a good teaspoon, okay? And see how fibrous it is. We're just grating all that to make it lovely and finely grated. Okay, that's a good teaspoon of ginger. Smells divine. Put that away, and what I will do now is I'll just cut the end off and just put that back in the fruit bowl for another day. It's really a very easy thing. Okay. So someone, this grater. Did someone think you're odd having this? Why? It's actually good. I've had it for 100 years. It's actually a really nice thing to use. Mine's falling apart a bit. It's especially made for ginger. Okay, how are we going? Okay, onions are good. They're starting to get a little glassy, which is what we want. Okay. There's a good tip from Brizzy Chris. I freeze ginger whole and grate frozen when needed. Do you peel it? Yes, I assume you peel it. That's a great idea. You peel it and then put it in the... That's great. If you don't use it that often, it's a really good idea. I love it. Okay, so onions are looking great. Ginger is grated. I'm just going to get rid of this mess so that you people don't complain to me that I'm too messy. You know that story. I did all these things last year, and some people actually wrote in and said that my bench was too messy. So no pressure at all. So I'm trying to tidy up as I go along, but it's actually harder than you think because there's no space here. You know, I don't have a bench. All right, great. Yeah, Jen says great. I agree, it is great. Okay, so onions are on. Let's chop the potatoes while we are waiting. I'm going to turn this board around. Okay, got my garlic there. Okay, I'm gonna confess to you, this is not garlic. I'm pretending it's garlic. I don't have any garlic in the house today, and I didn't want to go to the shops this morning. So I cut a piece of ginger to look like garlic so that I can show you what I would do with my garlic, okay? So just understand that this is a garlic clove for the purpose of today, okay? With us, with me, good. Potato. So the recipe says 3 potatoes, which is quite a lot for this amount of curry, to be honest. But if too much, cut it back. Not enough, add more. Really, really up to you, okay? Thank you, Irene, for not worrying about the mess. But I do. You know, it'd be a perfect world if I could finish these sessions and the kitchen would already be clean, but it doesn't happen like that. Okay. On that ginger note, Chris says if the ginger is young, don't peel it. And if it's not young, like this old one here, then you need to peel it. All right, let's go. I'm going to cut it up. And just think about the size of potato you want in your curry, okay? You don't want a little cube. You don't want a giant bit. This little potato I'm going to cut into 6, okay? And that's probably around the size that I want it, but it's a personal opinion, okay? No one's going to eat your curry and go, hey, Jen, your potato's too small, right? So, or big, right? Whatever you want is fine. But just think, the important thing is it has to cook through. So if it's too big, it's not going to cook through. Too small, it'll cook faster. That's a good size. And I'm going to cut this giant potato into half and half and half. It's really too big, okay? Yeah. So start trying to get the same size as that one. And this is a giant potato. Now, did you hear the difference? You know, we were talking about the sound of potatoes. Did you hear that? I want you to listen really carefully. I'm going to put my microphone really close. Can you hear this? Can you hear that one? Then you listen to this one. They probably sound the same, actually. But what I'm telling you is different potatoes have different sounds, depending on how much water they have in them, depending on if they're desirees or not. And I find desirees are the quietest. Desirees are like skiing through powder snow compared with skiing through a regular run. That's what I'm saying to you. Am I mad? Am I the only person who thinks that? All right, make sure your potatoes are the same size, though. That is important because you don't want half of them to be cooked and half of them not to be cooked. Okay, so Mogs 4, you've put the potatoes in water. Is that what you're saying? Oh, just because you're going to... Oh, yes, Melanie asked, is it okay to cut and peel them now if they're going to be added later? Yes, it is, but I've also put them in water. Same. Okay, so we've got our potatoes ready. We've got our ginger grated. We have our can of potatoes, can of tomatoes. Esther said lockdown brain, that's it. Can of tomatoes ready to go. Now, we're going to need some water, and I'll talk to you about that in a second. All right. Thank you, Karen. I'm glad you love this. I love this too. It's fun. It's seriously the highlight of my day. It really is. Okay, let's go. So now we're ready for the exciting part. We're going to put in our garlic again. Crushed if you want, 2 crushed cloves or 2 whole cloves that you might take out later. And I'm going to put in my 1 clove of garlic. Okay, and I'm going to put in my ginger. I'm going to put in my ginger and garlic first, okay? Ginger and garlic in. This is the most delicious time because the smell of ginger and garlic. Now turn your heat to low now, okay? Actually, medium. Garlic can burn and ginger can burn, and we don't want it to burn, okay? So we want it to be well spread through the onion. Can you smell that? Can you smell that? Okay. All right. Oh, Moggs, are you a dog? And is this another dog? There's so many dogs who follow me. It's amazing. We had Archie last week from New York, I think, who was watching us. And Archie was a dog. Hi, Glennis. Glennis doesn't want to talk to me, but Moggs does. Okay. I think I'm following that. Is that right? All right. Give that a minute. Fragrant. Can you smell it? Does it smell good? Let's just put in a little bit of salt here, okay? I'm just going to put in a little bit, just a good pinch. It's just a habit of mine that I always add salt when I'm frying onions. Don't know why, don't know if it's a good thing, but it's something that I always do. So a bit of salt. It's starting to smell. Okay, so Moggs is a cat. So Moggs, I'm glad you're watching. I'm not sure if cats are allowed to eat curry. Probably, I don't know. I know dogs can't because of all the onion. All right, now I'm going to put in my spices. Dry spices again. Curry powder, coriander, cumin in. Okay, I'm just going to give them a little stir around before I add the curry paste. This is the best. The smell now is, we smell like a curry kitchen. It's absolutely beautiful. And I want to cook the spices for a minute before I proceed to the next step, okay? You just want to toast them in the oil. You want to help bring out their best fragrance, their best flavour, and that's what this does. Okay, so I'm on a medium heat, and I'm just keeping on stirring it. You see there's lots of room in the pan for this. Now I'm going to get my pataks, and I need a tablespoon, okay? And you don't have to measure it, it's just roundabout, okay? If it's a bit more, it's a bit more. If it's a bit less, it's a bit less. Again, into the pan. Okay. And you know what I've forgotten today, don't you? My chucks. Hold on a sec. Hold on. Alright. Okay, I've got my chucks. Put my pataks away. Okay, so 1 tablespoon in there. Alright, how are we going? Okay. Oh, at least that's interesting. Apparently salting early is important for releasing moisture from the onions. I did not know that. Okay. It's good to know if it is the case. Alright. So, you can see I have this lovely spice mixture with onions sizzling away, and now turn it down. Now we're going to add the chicken or the meat or whatever it is, okay? So, I'm just going to do half at a time. With meat, with beef, I would probably want to do it a bit differently. I would probably want to take the onions out, put a bit more oil in and sear it in batches, because you really want the caramelization on the outside. With chicken, I don't mind if the chicken's almost poached in the sauce. I don't need crispy edged chicken for this, or caramelized chicken. But what I am trying to do is to coat all the chicken in the spices and the onion mix. I'm going to turn it back up again to high, and I'm just doing half at a time. So the problem with doing beef in here on a high heat is that the onions tend to burn. Because I'm not searing these till brown, it doesn't matter. Okay, so now that that chicken's not raw anymore, a bit, I'm going to add the rest. And you can see why you need a big pan for 2 kilos, right? This is only 1 kilo. 2 kilos is a lot. Okay. Yum. It's already looking great. Oops. Did you see that? Just tossed half of them out. Okay. Everyone with me. I just need another implement here. Okay. Make sure you scrape all those spices off the spoon. Yum! I mean, I know it's half raw, but it still looks bloody delicious already. So now you've got chicken coated in onion and garlic and ginger and spices. It smells good, huh? I mean, you could probably smell it in Melbourne. It smells so good here. And you can see the pieces of my chicken are quite big. I might actually turn this around now, so we can see that a bit better. Okay. You see that all right? Okay. Yum, this looks fantastic. So I'm not trying to cook the chicken through, I'm just trying to get rid of the rawness, okay? Okay. I haven't added any of the liquid yet, and I haven't added the tomatoes yet. Okay, next. Let me just check, I've got everything in. I've got oil and onion, which I cooked. I've got garlic and ginger, which I added next. I cooked that, then I added all the dry spices, the curry powder, the coriander and the cumin, and then I added the vindaloo paste, or whatever paste you're using. Then I added the chicken, and cooking it through till it's not raw anymore. Yum, yum, yum. I mean, this looks fantastic. Really does. Really, really does already. Like you could just cook that and eat it as it is. There's actually no reason not to. It's just yum. But we're not. We're going to add more. Okay. So Harold McGee says salt affects the aromas of foods by actually making aroma molecules leave food. Oh, I love that. And maybe that's why I've been adding salt. That's actually a great thing. Smells great. All right. Now I'm going to put in the potatoes because I want them coated as well. If you're doing meat, don't add the potatoes yet, okay? Because you don't want the potatoes to cook for 2 hours, okay? You want them to cook for half an hour, 40 minutes, okay? But this chicken only takes, the chicken could be done in 20 minutes, but we're going to cook it for 40 because I want the potatoes and I want it to be a little bit slower cooked, I guess, than normally. All right. Yum. Doing the same with the potatoes, coating them in the onions and the spices so they are absolutely on every single edge and side of that potato coated. Yum. This looks so good. I'm very happy. I'm very happy to be eating this tonight again. Okay, got that, everyone? All right. Now's the part where my friend Nikki Ryber got in trouble because the recipe in the book says to add, I think, a cup of water. And what happens is you add your 2 tomatoes, it's got some juice in it, you add your cup of water, and there's too much liquid. And you put the lid on and it gets more liquid because, you know, the liquid comes out of the food as it cooks. And then you end up with this watery thing. If that happens to you, what you just need to do is to take the lid off and gently simmer it so that the water evaporates. Steam is the water evaporating, right? So it's a simple thing to fix. You've just got to keep cooking it. Mine that I made on Monday had too much liquid in it because I put the lid on and went away and forgot about it. And then I came back and thought of my friend Nikki, took the lid off and let it cook for another 15, and it was great. Yum. How good does this look? Like, seriously, it looks unbelievable. Oh, like really unbelievable. Okay, next. Now we're going to add the tomatoes. So, up to you. If you're making half the recipe, like I am, you can add the whole can of tomatoes if you don't want to waste a half a can and you've got no other use for it. But your curry will be a little bit more tomatoey. Okay, not fully tomatoey, just a little bit. So for this full quantity of the recipe, 2 kilos of chicken thighs, you need either a whole can or 2 tomatoes. And you're going to put in the whole can with the juice, and we're going to put less water in, okay? So I hope you follow that. Depending on what you're doing, you have to change what you're doing, okay? Is that clear? So I am going to put the whole can in. And I'm just going to turn the heat up a little bit, because at this stage I want it to start boiling and really cooking. I don't mean a mad boil, but I want it to be hot and the flavours need to start to come together. I'll turn it down soon. I'm just going to chop that up with my spoon. Do I talk too fast? Sometimes I feel like I just talk too fast. I need to slow down. Okay, toss that around now. Remember, we've got potatoes in there that have to cook, and potatoes need either direct heat from an oven or moisture. And I think if we left it like that, the potatoes wouldn't quite cook through enough. So what we want to do is add a little bit of water. But because I've got tomato juice from the tomatoes, I'm only going to add a little bit of water. If you've used real tomatoes, okay, if you use real tomatoes, you might need to put your whole cup of water in. It looks pretty good now, and I could maybe get away with actually no more liquid, but I want to make sure those potatoes cook. So I'm just going to put in maybe 1/3 of a cup of water, okay? I just want it to be, let's turn it up now. I want it to be just covered, just below the top of all the stuff, okay? So I've still got stuff poking through, but it's pretty much, you can see the level. That's the level I want, okay? So you've got to judge. Depends how big your chicken thighs are, depends how big your potatoes, all that sort of stuff. Whether you've used real tomatoes or tin tomatoes, real, fresh tomatoes. They're all bloody real. Okay, so that's it. Curry's done. Seasoning. It does need a little bit of salt. There's no salt in the recipe, and I'm going to put a little bit. Remember, there's a lot of flavour in the spices, but there's really no salt. There's probably salt in the curry paste in the thing. So I'm just going to salt it. And I would use either a cooking salt or a table salt for this purpose. You don't need to do your flaky salt here. And I would just, looks good. And you can't taste it yet because it's got raw chicken in the sauce, okay? So don't taste it yet. And now I'm going to turn it down. And I'm going to pop the lid on. And that is my curry. And I think that it needs to have the lid on for about 20 minutes. And in 20 minutes, check with a knife, take out one of the potatoes, and check that it's starting to get soft. And it should be starting to get soft. What you need to judge is a few things in 20 minutes, because I'm not going to stay here for 20 more minutes. I'm going to show you what it looks like at the end, because you're going to have to judge that for yourself, I'm afraid, because I can't really waste your whole day. I can't be in your whole day. As much as I'd quite like to, I think we need to end it when we need to end this session. And I want to just tell you, so I want you to listen carefully, okay? In 20 minutes, you're going to lift up the lid, and you'll have lots more juice in there. And it's probably time to take the lid off then, okay? Feel the potato. Is it cooked? Is it nearly cooked? Make a judgment on that, okay? If it's nearly cooked and your chicken's nearly cooked, then take the lid off, give it another 10 minutes. You want it to be simmering quite nicely, and then turn it off and let it cool. The best thing about a curry for me is that when you cool it, some liquid evaporates, it gets absorbed into the potatoes and the meat, and then you reheat it and the sauce is thickened. It just happens like that. This could cook for about 40 minutes and there's no problem. These chicken thighs are so forgiving, there are lots of fat in them. It's almost impossible to overcook them. If you're using a chicken breast, different story, okay? I wouldn't cook it like this at all. I'd probably cook the potatoes for 20 minutes without the chicken and then put the chicken in for the last 15 minutes. You've got to really judge for yourself, and I can't answer every single query that I know that you've got if you're first time curry makers, as far as what if I use lamb and what if I use beef. It depends on the cooking time of whatever protein you're doing. Now, if you wanted to do this with fish, which you could, you would cook it with the potatoes and get it to when it's ready. I would even let it sit, reheat it later, and slip the fish in at the last minute and cook it for 6 or 7 minutes. That would be great. Again, beef, 2 hours, let's say. Put the potatoes in for the last half an hour or 40 minutes. Lamb, the same. Veal, shin or veal goulash would be good. Maybe it takes an hour to cook. Again, work out when you put the potatoes in. So it's simmering away nicely. My lid does not have a vent because I'm happy to steam a little bit for 20 minutes. Okay, I'm happy to get more moisture in there. There's not that much juice. I'm really happy to let it have juice, but don't do that for 40 minutes because then you'll have too much juice and then you'll have to cook it after. But remember, if it's too dry at any time, what do? Add more water. If it's too wet at any time, what do? Take the lid off and let it evaporate. Nikki, my friend, these things are easy to fix. I think that too much liquid in a curry is an easy problem to fix, okay? This is in our first book, The Food, the Stories, the Sisterhood. It's called the Elais family curry, and it has become one of my family's favourite curries, actually. And the beautiful thing about it is that it's not spicy, and those people who don't like spicy will enjoy it. It's really, really mild. Okay. Robin, do you coat the potatoes and then remove, or will they get enough? You mean if you're going to... Yeah, no, they'll get enough later. They will get enough. It's a good question, though. The question is if you're cooking lamb or beef and you want to add your potatoes later, you're missing that sautéing the potatoes in the spices. I would say you just miss that step, and they'll get it from the sauce anyway. But these are going to be really good. So... that's it. You can see it's bubbling away beautifully. I'll show you. Have a look at that. Okay. So remember, you've got to judge. Are the potatoes cooked? Is the chicken cooked? And how's my liquid level? Okay. It's always better to add less liquid if you can, but enough to cook the potatoes. You can always add more later. All right. So I'm going to turn that to medium-low. I'm going to set my timer so I don't forget it, which I may if I go away and do something else. And at 15 minutes, I'm going to take the lid off, test the potatoes and the meat, make a judgment and cook it probably for another 15-20 minutes. Let's just talk about what it looks like. Now, it's not the best because I've got to say this has been reheated twice, and this is what my family had for dinner on whatever night it was. Hold on a second. On Monday. And it does look a bit mushy now because it's been reheated and you know, probably cooked. It's been reheated twice now, and I just love it like this. Like the potato is now absolutely soft and beautiful. It has absorbed all the sauce and all the flavour. The chicken's still in pieces. This is why you don't want too smaller pieces, because then you get little bitsy things like that. Oh, that's all right. You know, it's just, I mean, so good. 2 days later, reheated twice, and it's still bloody good. I'm just going to joke, don't mind me. Sorry. What I'm going to serve it with. Curry. I've got my rice from yesterday, which I put in a bowl with Glad wrap. I'm going to microwave it to serve it tonight. It'll be beautiful and fluffy and steamed and hot. And of course, the cucumber salad that we made yesterday, which has been sitting in my fridge. And I've put the shallots and the chives in there, which I love. Just so delicious. That's what I'm going to serve it with. Curry, rice, cucumber salad. I may make an iceberg salad because there's no dinner ever in my house without an iceberg salad. And my husband Danny and one of my kids will get out the chutney from the fridge because they cannot have a curry without chutney. So that's the story. I'm going to turn this down a bit. That's everything. That's everything for me from curry. Do you want to tell you one more thing though? Of course, there's always one more thing. This is all. I've been trying not to eat cake this week, okay? It's been a no cake week. It has not been a successful no cake week. I want you to know that because of this. I'm trying to explain to you that this is like a miracle cake, okay? You can make it from scratch. You can join me on Sunday, the 5th of September, which is Sunday week. I know it's Father's Day, but you know what? Let's cook. 11 a.m. We're going to make this together. You can book through our website. It is going to be a fantastic morning. And you make the dough, you make the circles, you bake them, you make the filling and icing, and you stack it. And it's beautiful. This is a half size of the recipe, so you could make 2 of those. And I was talking to my sister Esther this morning about making 3. She's going to make 3 small ones, so we'll talk about all of that. But it's going to be a great session, and this cake is I want to just show you again, and I know I did it yesterday, but I just can't believe how good it is. And I'm really not telling you to do the big sell. I'm telling you because every time I have a bite of this, I can't believe I made it. That's the feeling I have. Look at that. And look how soft it is. See, I'm only eating this cake because you're making me. Soft. The recipe is in our recent book, Now for Something Sweet. But I urge you to come along and join me in the making of it because A, it will be fun. B, we'll do it step by step together, literally in real time. And then at the end of it, you'll have that. It needs to sit in the fridge for 36 hours, ideally. This is now 3 days. It is so good. Anyway, that's it from me. Tomorrow, we are making a vegetarian curry with pumpkin and chickpeas and spinach leaves, also with a shortcut. And I'm using this Simon Johnson butter chicken paste, which I love. If you can find any butter chicken paste, that's great. But you could use any curry paste that you like. Same thing. Do I refrigerate? Are you talking about the curry or are you talking about the cake? The cake, yeah, it lives in the fridge. It does. And this has been out for 10 minutes. It's absolutely divine. I really can't urge you enough to join me on Sunday. The curry, if I'm going to leave it out, if I was having it for dinner tonight and it was a cold day, I would leave it out and then reheat it. But if you're nervous about chicken, you can, of course, put it in the fridge and reheat it. This is bubbling away beautifully as I want it to. I'm just keeping on talking, aren't I? And have I already said goodbye? Just about. See, I don't want to leave you today. It's just been so nice. It's been really nice. So now I'm going to go because I really don't have anything else to talk to you about at this moment, because I'm going to go get ready for tomorrow, and I've got to start planning next week. Next week we're going to do Jewish New Year things. I think we'll do a few really delicious things, which I am looking forward to. If you want your curry hotter, do you add more vindaloo? More vindaloo will just add more spice flavour. I would probably add some hot chili chopped up. That would probably, if you want hotter spice, that's what I would do. That'd be delicious. All right then. See you all later. Have a good day. Stay safe wherever you are. If you are in lockdown, stay home and follow the rules. And of course, everyone, please get vaccinated and make your appointment if you haven't already. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, everyone. And please post pics or send them to me. I'd love to see what you're making. Bye, all. Have a good one. See you tomorrow.